Hello all, if you are new, my name is Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. In the month of October, I am participating in 2 readathons. The first one is Spookoplathon, which is hosted by Becca at Becca and the Books. The second is TBR Harvest, hosted by Leandra, the TBR Zero. If you are curious about the books on my TBR for those readathons, I will link that up in the cards. But today, I am going to be playing a different game that is part of TBR Harvest, and that is Escape the Haunted House. So in this game, I need to read books to fit the prompts to move me through the house from the attic to the front door to safety. So let's go ahead and get into it. Hello all, it is time to start Escape the Haunted House. Forgive the wrinkles, this was sitting underneath something, but I am going to be starting in the attic. That's where everyone has to start. The prompt for this is Scoobies Unite. It says below your feet you hear ghostly moans, heavy creaks, and bone-chilling laughter. To muster the courage to begin your descent, lean on your community. Find a prompt from another readathon happening this month and read a book to fulfill it. Once completed, you can exit the attic. So, I will be reading Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. This is a novella. This serves the prompt of Seance for Spookoplathon. I rolled a random letter die, got a G, Graveyard Shift. So this will be my first book for the Escape the Haunted House readathon. And I am excited to read this, but also a little nervous because I did not love If We Were Villains. So I'm going to cross my fingers that this one goes better. I am not sure if I will get this done today or if I will have to carry it over into tomorrow, but regardless, it should be a pretty quick read. There are only 126 pages, so this should hopefully be a good time and a good book to kick off this Escape the Haunted House game because it is nice and short. So once I have finished this, I will come back and let you know my full thoughts. Hello all, I have finished the first book for the Escape the Haunted House readathon because I did finish Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio, which officially gets me out of the attic. So I have a kind of rough history with short stories and novellas because I always feel like for me personally to enjoy them, I need them to be longer, which like defeats the purpose of a novella. I get that. This one's no exception. I'm giving this 3.5 stars. I felt like there were aspects of this that I quite enjoyed. I liked the atmospheric prose, the setting of the story being mostly at night, the kind of creepy vibes going on as this group of strangers, even though they know each other, they don't know each other well, try to sort out why there is an empty plot in this old graveyard that is not being used anymore. There was a lot of interesting stuff in the book. I just feel like it didn't go deep enough for me personally to give it more than 3.5 stars. So yes, will I read from this author again? Probably, but it will need to be a full-length book. And I'm still not sold that she is an author for me. But this is finished, so I have officially escaped the attic. So we are going to move on into the chimney. The prompt for that is, when you crawl into the chimney, it's pitch black. Read a book with a dark cover. So I will be reading another book from my 24 and 2024, and that is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I am excited to give this one a read. I have read Gone Girl and Sharp Objects, which I actually read last year. So I'm curious to see how this one compares. This one was her second book. It was published in 2009. So yeah, I also checked out the movie from the library. So once I read this, I'm going to watch the movie, see how they compare. And that's going to be my book to get me out of the chimney. So here we go. All right, y'all, reading update time. I have officially escaped the chimney because I have finished Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I realize I didn't talk about this one like at all while I was reading, but if I'm being honest, I didn't really know what to say about it and still kind of feel that way. So this is a book about a woman named Libby. Her family is murdered when she is 7 years old. They call it the Farmhouse Massacre. Her brother is charged with the murder and ultimately is found guilty and sent to prison for the crime. Her mother and her 2 sisters were killed in this murder, leaving Libby kind of to flit between different family members because she was very difficult to take care of as a child. Obviously, a lot of trauma, PTSD, that kind of stuff. And as an adult, she meets a man named Lyle who runs what he calls a kill club, in that they come together to talk about crimes and serial killers and stuff like that. And one of their focuses is her family's murder. They are convinced that her brother, who was the one charged with the murders, is not actually guilty. And it kind of puts Libby on this path to finally trying to figure out what actually happened, because Libby's testimony is ultimately what put her brother behind bars, because she said that she saw him kill, I believe, her sister or her mother. I can't remember which one. So she is kind of now, as a 30-something woman, going to take a look and see if this was actually accurate or if she had been coached and if her brother is truly guilty. So that's kind of the setup for this. This is definitely a very dark book, as you would expect, and as I expected just from the author. This is the 3rd book that I've read by Gillian Flynn. So what do I think about this one? I do feel like this was well written. The mystery aspects, as Libby is like unwinding what happened, were well done. There are multiple POVs here. So we are following Libby now in the present. We are following her mother in the past leading up to her murder. And we are following her brother leading up to the murder. So those are like the 3 POVs that we have. I did listen to this on audio and then I read some of it physically while I was listening, which I quite enjoyed. That's how I finished like the last 50 pages or so. I'm giving this 4 stars because I do think it was a well done book. I don't want to say that I had a good time with it, because considering the content, that's not really correct. But I do feel like this was very well written. Gillian Flynn has a talent for kind of taking you into the depths of humanity and kind of talking about like the seedier sides of life. She does that very, very well in all of the books that I've read by her. So I did enjoy this one in terms of its readability. It is dark. It has some horror elements, trigger warning for like some killing of some animals, cows specifically. So heads up if that's a thing that's going to bother you. I definitely think it was described in a way that would bother someone who needs to be mindful of that. So yeah, definitely some horror elements in here, lots of blood and gore and things from like the crime. And yeah, ultimately I'm giving it 4 stars. I never truly connected with Libby. She was very difficult for you to like really get behind. And I liked how the mystery was unraveled and how the truth came out, but I did not love the ending. So 4 stars. This one gets me out of the chimney. So I am moving through the haunted house, which leads me into the 3rd prompt for my path through the haunted house, which is to read a sequel. So I'm trying to come through the fireplace and I need to read a sequel. For that, I have already started the audio of For the Throne by Hannah Witten. I read For the Wolf back when it was released in 2021, so it has been a few years, and I am a little fuzzy on details, but we're persevering. I might look up like a recap to see if I can find something that tells me exactly what happened. I remember enough, but I don't remember everything. So I am currently on chapter 8. I listened to this much today while I was at work, and I definitely like the vibes. That's what I liked the most about the first book as well. So in the first book, we are following two sisters who live in a land where one of the sisters becomes the queen and the other one is a sacrifice to who they call the wolf. And in the first book, we are following the daughter who goes to the wolf's point of view. Her name is Red. Yes, Little Red Riding Hood. Lots of like fairy tale elements in these books. And she is the main POV in that one. In this one, we are following her sister, Neve. So different POV. We do have POVs from Red, but Neve is kind of like the main character here. So I can't really talk any more about it because it will spoil the first book, but I gave the first book 4 stars. I listened to that one on audio, so I'm hoping that this one will go just as well, if not better. I have seen a few reviews that say they actually liked this one better than the first one, but again, it has been a few years. I put this on here because this will complete a duology. This was a series that I wanted to complete this year. I am not going to get through all of the duologies that I wanted to read this year, so at least crossing one more off before the end of the year would be a win. So far I don't have a ton to say, but I am liking the vibes. I'm interested to see where this is going, and ultimately I'm curious to see like how the two POVs are going to meet, because right now they are in separate places. So yeah, going well so far. I am on page 100, so that's what I got listened to today. This one's a little bit chunky. There are some extras at the end, so I'm not sure. I think they are for like her book that she released. Yeah, so it says at the end you can read an excerpt from The Foxglove King, which is what she released. Was it this year or last year? Last year, I think. I don't know that I'm really interested in reading that one though. So the book itself ends on page 452. So it is a chunky book, but that leaves me with this. My goal is to have this finished within the next few days. We'll cross our fingers, because obviously there is another prompt in order to get me out of the haunted house that I will also need to read to officially escape the haunted house. So we'll just see how this one kind of continues on. I tried to read the first one physically and just could not get through it. I really needed the audio. So I'm thinking this one is probably going to be similar. So we'll see. But anyway, once I get to the halfway point of this, I will give you like more of overall thoughts, spoiler free, of course. Right now, we are very much trying to set things up, and it picked up like pretty much directly after the first book. So not much to talk about yet, but hopefully that will change and I can give you a little bit more about this book then. So I will talk to you whenever I have a reading update again. Otherwise, I am going to kind of just settle in for the evening, relax. Today was a very long, trying day at work. Thursdays are very difficult days just because of the classes that I have and the lack of break that I have. So definitely want to just kind of put my feet up and relax tonight and see what else I get up to. Hello all, it is reading update time because I have reached the halfway point of For the Throne. I'm actually a little bit past the halfway point. So I'm on chapter 24, which is page 258. So this one is very much the same vibe as the first one. I would say this has some definite horror elements, which makes it perfect for the fall season. The first book did as well, so I was kind of expecting that. This book flips back and forth between POVs much more frequently than the first book did. That one was much more from Red's point of view, and this one it seems to be about even in the point of view. So lots of chapters from Red, lots of chapters from Neve. They are both working towards kind of the same goal, although Red doesn't fully know what her sister is trying to do. So that's all I'll kind of say about that. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but yeah, I like the vibes of this a lot. I do feel like It's a little slow paced, which was the same issue that I had with the first one. I actually had to give up reading that one physically and switch to audio because I was having so much trouble getting through it, reading it physically. So I am glad I'm doing this one via audio because I think I would kind of be struggling with the same thing. Considering that we still have half the book left, I'm not really sure what's going to happen because I feel like for Neve's part of the story, we've kind of hit what should be the climax, but her sister is not quite there yet. So, yeah, I like it so far, like the vibes, think it's a good continuation of the first book, although obviously, again, I'm a little fuzzy on the details in that first one. So yeah, it's going fine. I would really like to get this done tomorrow, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to manage because there is quite a bit of this book left. So we'll see. I will come back and talk with you again at the conclusion of this book, so I won't be doing another update. I'll just kind of let you know overall thoughts and things like that, and then we will move on to the final book for Escape the Haunted House. So yeah, just gonna keep kind of poking at this one over the next couple of days, and I will come back and chat with you once it's finished. All right, y'all, reading update time. I have finished For the Throne by Hannah Witten, and I'm giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed the writing in this one, the atmosphere, the gothic vibes, the horror elements. I liked the story. It's kind of about sacrifice and the love that siblings can hold for each other, but also like romantic love. So there was a lot going on in here that I enjoyed. I do feel like it was a little bit long, and the middle was a little bit of a slog to get through. So I think I mentioned like halfway through that I felt like Neve's story was kind of coming to what should be the climax, and Red's story was not quite there yet. It was kind of a false climax because definitely the action happens at the end. So yeah, there was a lot of buildup still past where I felt like the story could have kind of come to its big showdown, if you will. So I felt like there was just a little bit of extraneous writing here that just didn't need to be in the book, but I'm still giving it 4 stars. I still enjoyed it. I am glad to finally cross this duology off my TBR, and yeah, don't have all that many complaints other than just the slowness and just some extra content in here that probably didn't need to be included. So that's my thought on this. So this means I have officially escaped the fireplace, which I don't think I actually read the prompt for. So it says, someone lit the fire. Do you climb back the way you came or continue down and face the flames? So the flames being a series read. So obviously I've faced the flames, and now I am heading into the living room for the final prompt. And that prompt is, you can see the door, but what is crawling from under the couch? Enter blindly. So in other words, I am supposed to read a book that I don't know a lot about. So I will be reading The Night Guest. This is by Hildur Knutsdottir. I probably didn't pronounce the last name correctly. Apologies, but this is one of the picks for the Literally Dead book club in October. All I know about this one is that it is about a woman who is feeling like massive amounts of fatigue, and doctors cannot tell her what is going on. So she purchases like a step counter and wakes up one morning to find that she has walked over 40,000 steps during the night. So that's all I know about this. So I believe it's horror. It's set in Iceland. Not really sure what else is going on. So we'll see. My plan is to sit down and read this in one sitting, hopefully. So here we go. Okay, reading update time. I have finished The Night Guest. I actually flew through this. This was a really good time. However, I'm giving it 4 stars. I really wanted to give it 5, but at the end, I was still confused about what the heck was going on here. So this read, I don't know if popcorn horror is a thing, but that's what this felt like. It helps that some of the chapters are very, very short, like one sentence, but I blew through this and I enjoyed every minute of it. I just was left with some lingering questions that did not get answered, and I wish that they had. Had they gotten answered, this would have been a 5, but it's still a 4. I did like it more than Graveyard Shift, which I felt really left a lot unanswered. This one did slightly better, but I ultimately was still really confused about what was actually happening to the main character and what was going on. So yeah, but it says, like, a lot of people on the back have mentioned things like it casts a hypnotic spell, so atmospheric, so well crafted. Like, I would agree. This one says I inhaled this book. Same. I literally flew through this and loved it. So would highly recommend this one. Be aware that there is animal murder, specifically cats. So if you are sensitive to that, maybe avoid, but I did really, really like this. So this officially gets me out of the living room, and I have now safely exited the haunted house. So that is going to be it for this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. I managed to read 4 books, and one of them was from my 24 and 2024. One of them finishes a series, and then 2 others were for the Literally Dead book club. So pretty successful vlog, and I had a really good time with all of these. Actually, even the one that I said was like 3.5 stars, I still enjoyed it. So that is the stack. I hope you enjoyed, as I mentioned, coming along with me as I attempted to escape the haunted house. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. If you made it to the end of this vlog, go ahead and leave me a jack-o'-lantern, because this is a Halloween themed readathon. And yeah, I will see you next week with another vlog. Bye everyone.